Mill's back. Mr. Mill Show. We're back at it, and we got cameras and amazing part of technology. What we found is this lovely hose has normally a spring inside of it. However, that spring, crispy critter, ow, that kind of poked. If you've seen those before, I'll tell you that I squeezed the hose a while back and I did feel a little bit in there, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me where'd the rest of the spring go. Well, you'll see I dug a bunch of this out of the top of that radiator. And so I'm hoping that this is our smoking gun, because if I look down inside of that, you can see pieces of this down inside the top of that radiator, and I'm certain that all the tubes inside of that thing are full of shit. So we've got a new radiator that's bigger. Here again, we're trying to put this thing into actual daily normal service. The other thing I found was, gotta love the guys at O'Reilly's. Shout out to O'Reilly's. They let me go shopping on the wall in the back. They helped me get a hose that fit. Anyway, so the thing is that I've got a smooth hose that doesn't have the spring inside of it. What am I trying to do there? I'm trying to increase flow. So cross our fingers with the description of how this car behaved over the last 10, 12 years. I think that it kind of always struggled a little bit because that radiator might be a little small. And then this event occurred over time that just, further deteriorated its capability of cooling. What we're gonna do now is I'm gonna rip the water pump off of it, and the technology I speak about of today, we're going to take whatever they call that camera, and we're gonna stick it inside there. And I just wanna see that there isn't any garbage in the water jackets. Here's a internal adventure into an engine. So come along. I'm asking the world. Put in the comments, what do you think? Is it okay that I still use air tools? They still work. I invested a lot of money in those air tools a long time ago. Rather than the cordless front. Now I realize the cordless is nice for when we're out and about and the hose drags on stuff. And okay, let's see. No, I gotta drain the block. Or I dip the camera in the antifreeze. Send it. Kind of naive, I suppose, to think that the cooling jackets would be empty enough I could see in the bottom of them. Because that's probably that's a head bolt. So we're down the block. I mean, I don't see big pieces of it. What I do know is that the water flow is this direction. And when I took the thermostat out of it, there was not a bunch of garbage on top of the thermostat. Conventional wisdom tells me that I think all the garbage is caught in that old radiator. Let's look on the other side just to see. I could get wild and crazy and drain the block. Can we make this guy go a little further and knock that shit off the side of it? See, I think that's... I do, I think that's... I do. Oh, look, we're going deep. We're past the sigmoid colon now. Here comes the upper intestine. Dude, if we keep going, I'm gonna find a nostril. That's all casting. That's not spring material. So, Yeah. No, send it. I'll put the water pump back on. I'll put a radiator in it. Because it doesn't have a bunch of funk in the bottom of it. Like, but what's the story about that little, the plug being black and covered over? What if, let's take this guy and we're going to go bottom side. We're going to go in the, what, the right ear canal. And are we going to wear it? Well, what the fuck is that? Ooh. Ooh. Development. I don't know about you. I may not be a smart man, but I think it's supposed to pour out of there. So I just pulled the drain plug out of the side of the block. And notice there ain't nothing come out. And it's black. It's not green. Overheating issues. We're going to take a, I'm going to take a pokey and we're going to see. Yeah, right there. See? So, oh, I hope that we got some love on the camera there. I hope my bucket's big enough. That's like it's going to quit. No, it's not. Don't wear it. Come on now. Oh. At least it's not going all the way down my arm yet. The only thing I hate about cars is there ain't nothing you can do but make a mess. If they didn't have fluids, I'd be all right with that. Wait a minute. No, I take that back. Because the EVs don't have fluids. Listen, I'll make a whole episode about electric cars. Okay, for 45 years, I've been playing with the electric RC cars. I'll save that for another episode. They have their place. But they also don't have fluids. So I'll give the EV world that. I'll also say you EV guys have these little whirling speakers on the front of your cars because your cars don't make noise. So that people will hear you coming. Something about the smells. I guess you don't get the smells without fluids. No, there's still garbage in there. Does it try to focus way close up? See it sees down the hall up there. It turns out there is some funkage in the bottom of that. Right of trouble. Trying to carve and see what kind of garbage I get out of the bottom of it. What concerns me is the fact that that plug was covered over. Watch, let's do the other side real quick. Right on my lip. Tastes good. What's the automotive fluid, if you will? If you've been around cars for a long time, I promise you've dealt with this. That tastes particularly sweet. And I'm not talking about antifreeze. I'll give you a hint. I think it's made of something, dextrose, glucose, I don't know, something sugary, and it's sweet. We got some mud, garbage coming out of the bottom of that. I'm gonna go after it mechanically. I'm going to take, I don't know, MacGyver's gonna come into play. Since I got the water pump out, I can go down both water jackets and just aggravate the hell out of it until it comes out clean. And then we're gonna put it together. Yeah, she's hot. Yeah. She's also kind of a little rusty and out of practice. How about that? See you guys later. Bye. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the garage door. there again, Mr. Mills from the Mr. Mills Show. If you recall, we're working on that 67 Nova, and we dug this spring out of the upper radiator hose, and it just disintegrated and deposited itself in the top of the radiator. We took the water pump off of it and did some investigating in the engine block around the water jackets, make sure there isn't any funk in the bottom of that thing. So in doing so, I jerked the water pump off of it, and I did it in such a hurry that I thought the gasket that I put on there came off nicely, and it didn't. And I'm impatient, and I don't want to drive all the way to the parts store, so we're going to go old school, and I'm going to show you how we make a gasket. If you've never seen it this way, here it is, old school. You can buy a roll of gasket material, and you can cut your own gaskets. I just happen to have a couple of tools that I inherited from my grandfather that I've managed to take pretty good care of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it out. I don't want to have to shut down the shop and, you know, all that jazz. So that's where I'm going to make one. But I've got the material and the time, and this material is no different than the reproduce the template. But the part that's really clever, I'm sure many of you out there have seen this, but I also know that there's probably some folks that have never seen this. You know, when we're working on some of the more rare stuff, I can't run down to O'Reilly's and get a water pump gasket for a 37 DeSoto. You gotta make them. Here's the trick. Aha. McMaster Car Supply Company, 640 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, USA. No date, but I know they were my grandfather's, so I mean probably 40 something maybe. Check those out, they're up close. They're sharpened at the end, and they're got a little handle on them. They're pretty neat. I've never seen anything like them except for that set. But I gotta knock the inside out so I can see it. And right, good stuff. And then I'm going to use my little knife to try to be precise about it. So we're getting kind of excited about this whole project, and I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and coming back and watching, and I guess I owe YouTube a thank you for. There we go. Thanks, O'Reilly's. Oh, wait. Perfecto. Goes back where we got them so that we take care of them. I'll give you a sneak peek, though. I'll give you a quick sneak peek. There's your glasses. For all my little drifter turbo guys, friends. That turbo, it says Toyota. This engine goes in a project that you're going to be introduced to soon. But right now, we're going to go work on a 67 Chevy again. We went in there with a camera, and it didn't look so bad, but then we took the plugs out of the side of the block, and one of them didn't drain. Had an interesting membrane over the top of it, and dug at it for a little while. And so there was a little bit of garbage in the bottom of the water jackets, but we got that cleaned out. We got it flowing. So now we're going to put it back together with a new radiator hose that's not convoluted with a crappy spring inside of it. And then we got a new radiator. And I know so I'm going to get some heat about these stupid guys, but that's all we got right now. And carry on. It's had those for 14 years. I'm talking to my guy that owns this car. Turns out he's had it for a long time. Put a lot of work into it by himself. And I dropped my brand new gasket in the mud. By the way, try to remember to unhook the, no, try to remember to not start the engine when the transmission cooler is not installed. That's why I got the floor dry all over the ground on here. We went to run it and I didn't have the transmission cooler installed. And it proceeded to pump the transmission fluid all over the floor. It was awesome. Yes, sir. A beginner practices until they get it right. A master practices until they cannot get it wrong. I remember back in the old days, I remember seeing cars that people I saw that I knew that they'd put water pumps and stuff like that. They use that blue RTV silicone on everything. And I remember in the early days, my dad was that way. And bless him. I mean, I didn't know any different. I think everybody else didn't either. But now we've got, you know, the orange kind and the gray kind and the blue kind, you know, and I haven't used the blue kind since. I probably haven't used the blue kind in probably 20 years. Use the preferred type in the location for which is appropriate. We did an experiment one time with Right Stuff. I wonder if I've got some. This Right Stuff, you can get it in an easy cheese. You know what I mean? Put on the crackers, you know. We did an experiment. We all went to Moab for a week, and one of the guys had a Jeep, and we put the diff cover on it, and we used the Right Stuff on it, and we bolted it down and let it sit for 24 hours, and then took the bolts out and filled it with gear oil and drove it for a week in Moab, and that cover didn't come off with just the Right Stuff on it. So, talking about Seth and this car and the history with him, we didn't hang out, and I mean, I knew him from high school. And then we just, you know, we went on our separate lives, and I'm grateful that we've reconnected. And it appears that, you know, the way he's explained to me, he's had this car for a long time. And so, just trying to tip into the, you know, the history of these things and the fact that some of them have been around for a while. And I think the interesting thing about the diagnosis of this one, what we've discovered in trying to make it run, of course, it came in with a hole in the oil pan. Couldn't even drive it without fixing the oil pan, right? And so we fixed the oil pan and then decided that water pump in it was from the wrong direction. It was from a serpentine belt, later model. What else? I put a thermostat in it. The thermostat in it is probably the same one that's been in there for 10 years. Is she hot? Yes, it's been very hot. Luckily, last night we figured out that that broken spring was in the radiator. I decided to share a little bit about the background of the car and what I know about it. So as we went along, we learned more and more, and I really believe that or the spring that in that hose, I'm really hoping that's our smoking gun, because like I said, with the nitrous on this thing, I really hope we didn't blow any head gaskets. So we'll see. If you see my mess down here, don't run them with the transmission cooler on hook. I had it attached to the old radiator, and we fired it up, and it pumped transmission all over the floor. Transmission fluid all over the floor. If you're dealing with these fancy Earls or Russell or any AN aluminum fitting, and you want them to stay pretty, you need to go buy an aluminum wrench. Otherwise, if you use a steel wrench on them, that tears them up and they look like thunder. Probably gonna leak fluid again. But where do we want to be with this? This guy needs to be not a huge fan of these, but we're gonna do this side. We're gonna do the transmission cooler first. There we go. And then we're gonna go Knowing my luck, I would have left this blue plug in the end of that radiator. Oh, because they won't cool anymore. Okay. Let's put that one on top. I like that one better. Whenever I install a radiator hose or a hose clamp like that, I always watch about where the end of the clamp is, that sharp edge that comes on this guy right here. I always watch where that is, especially on this one up here. Never fails. I go to work on it. They'll slice you right open. But problem number 734. But if you notice that our coolant bottle is made of an upside down brake fluid can, I bet we can come up with an alternative later on, especially because I happen to notice that it was a little Do you see little stars and birdies? We're going to find a better reservoir, but that can wait just a moment. I'm going to wire the fan so that I can change its direction if I decide it needs it. You ever wonder why the handles on a pair of crimpers like this are black and red? Inside that connector, there's a split down one side of it, and you want the split to be in the half moon part. You want the split to be on the top. If you do it any other way, they come apart and they fail. And I say that with sternness and determination, because I've seen a lot of people do that. And I used to work in the, I took a stint in car stereos and car alarms and remote starts, and the number one failure I ever saw was laziness with the connectors. And so I promise you, every time I put a connector in that thing, I make sure that the stripe is the right way, or the split is. No particular order. Shout out to Merlin's Old School Garage, Trail Mater, Grindhard Plumbing, goodness, Mike Finnegan, Freiberger, Dulcich, all you guys. If I use some of your sayings, I can't help it. I watch you guys all the time. I love you guys. Part of the inspiration why I decided to do this stuff. Do it every day. Fred Williams, Dave Chappelle, Dirthead Shed. I probably watched every single one of the episodes that you guys put out. And shout out to you guys for sure. You guys are all kinds of inspirational. And I really appreciate all the effort you guys put in. Matt's Off-Road, Bobby Layton, Gracious. You guys rock. Here we go. Let's fire this thing up. See what it does.